Kelsey Newman, occupational therapist from Be Free OT. So today I'm going to be doing a little crash course all about my approach to picky eating. So if you're new to Be Free OT, first off, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. So you can expect lots of tips and activities all about doing therapy at home. And so if that interests you at all, you're going to want to go ahead and hit that little red subscribe button down below. But without further ado, let's get into it. So before I share all of my tips, I really want to emphasize one thing, and that is that eating is complicated. If you think about it, all of our senses, our organs, our muscles, pretty much everything is involved when we're eating. It's not just a two-step process. You sit down and then you eat. There's so much more that goes into it. Like our kids with weak oral motor skills, they're going to want to avoid foods that are difficult to chew. Or our kids with weak fine motor skills, it's going to be way harder for them to use like forks, spoons, and other utensils. Or our kids with weak core and shoulder strength, aka postural strength, they're going to have a harder time sitting still at the table, which is going to lead to them fidgeting around, which is then going to lead to them getting distracted and just having less attention. That is why it is so important to work on all of these other skills that I talk all about and go over in my last videos. So if you haven't watched those yet, I highly recommend going back and watching those, especially my last one, my top 5 therapy activities that you need to be doing daily. So now let's get into what you need to be doing to help your picky eaters. So first, something really important to think about is how stressful is mealtime. The more stressful it is can lead to your child being more anxious, which is going to directly affect their appetite, leading to them being less hungry during mealtimes. Also, if you are stressed or anxious during mealtimes, your child is going to feed off of your energy. So I recommend having your child do a relaxing activity before mealtime so then they go into mealtime in a more peaceful and relaxed mood. Also, you can even ask them to help with cooking and get involved with cooking, even if that means simply grabbing something from the fridge or pouring something. A lot of these are actually great therapy activities, like opening a jar is a great coordination fine motor activity. And also just throughout the week playing games with food aside from mealtime to help nurture and emphasize the idea that food is not something to be scared of and to help them be more comfortable with food. So now we're to the best part, and that is what to do during meal times. And this is where it gets really good. And we're going to be starting with my number 1 tip, and that is food chaining. So food chaining is simply where you make small changes to preferred foods to slowly introduce new foods. This is the technique that a lot of therapists use. So here's a quick example. Let's say your child loves chocolate chip cookies. Then next you could slowly introduce chocolate chip granola bar. And it doesn't need to be a whole granola bar at first, but maybe just a bite. And next, after they start eating chocolate chip granola bars, you could crunch it up and mix it in the yogurt. Then after that, you can start adding a couple blueberries in the yogurt mix until eventually they start eating blueberries on their own. If you Google food chaining, you'll find so many different examples to get some more ideas from. Another quick tip is that you could also add a tiny bit of protein powder or chia seeds or flax seeds or other things into the mix like yogurt or a smoothie just to help them get the nutrients too. So 3 important things to remember during meals is to try to limit mealtime to 30 minutes. Remember, you don't want it to be stressful, so the shorter amount of time, the better. And also, I personally do not recommend using the technique where you make your child sit at the table until they finish their food. Even a small taste is something to celebrate, which brings us to number 2, which is spitting out is a good thing. If your child spits something out, at least they tried it. And if you celebrate that, it'll motivate them in the future to at least try new things. The last tip is to cut things into really small pieces to make it easier to chew and try and also introduce a tiny amount of new foods at a time. You don't want to make it overwhelming to them. Always remember here that slow, small, and steady wins the race with picky eaters. It's not going to be an overnight success. So here are the steps to remember for trying new foods. First, your child needs to tolerate it, like being in the same room as the new food, watching you eat the different foods during mealtime. Then the next step is to interact with new foods. So here I think a really good opportunity is to play with new foods during games when there's no pressure at all to eat it. Like there are so many games that you can play with food if you just search on Pinterest or Google. Then the third step is to smell new food, which can happen while they're playing games or watching you eat during mealtime just to get comfortable with the new smells.
Up next, the fourth step is to taste. So even a small bite or tasting it before spitting it out is a great step in the next direction. And lastly, the last step is to eat. Like I said earlier, small, slow, and steady wins the race with picky eaters. But stick with all of these tips and they will get there. So, lastly, after meals, remember the golden rule is to keep it peaceful, relaxing, and non stressful. So, have a relaxing activity to follow that they can look forward to during mealtime. Maybe like a little screen time or their favorite game. And lastly, always remember to celebrate the small successes.
So I just wanted to remind you guys that enrollment for TheraParent Pro, my online course, ends this Thursday. So if you haven't checked that out yet, I recommend going to BeFreeOT.com to learn more about it. This is my signature online course that only costs $25, where I go through everything you need to know about how to do therapy at home. It'll save you so much time rather than having to read countless blogs and books. Instead, it has everything you need to know all in one quick online course. And so recommend going to BeFreeOT.com to learn more and sign up for that one. But that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.